Mini Jake, the tribe has spoken.
Fuck you, Kevin.
Aw, fuck you too, sweetie.
I'm JJ, one of the original Tribe of Nerds members. You can catch me on Marvel, Pokemon, and other gaming podcasts.
What up? It's Josh, resident superhero nerd, but I also dabble in the occasional super villain as well.
Some may know me as the Chaos Gremlin, but really I'm just Joe King.
Pikachu, use Volt Tackle! Good job, Pikachu!
On the Tribe of Nerds. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Tribe of Nerds. Austin, Michael, and I are here for week 8 of Australian Survivor Brains vs. Brawn 2 with an awesome new layout, as you can see. So, super exciting to see that. You can see the cast behind us. But yeah, let's get into let's get into week 8. So this has been a very weird week. We'll kind of get into at least, some of the weirdness of it. We obviously don't know the full details or context, so we're only going to go off of what we know and not what rumors might be out there. But just so y'all are aware. So let's get into it with episode 21. And so we do have the postgraduates being successful on taking out Kristen. Miles is planning on splitting the postgraduates himself, and he wants Kaylin gone if Kaylin does not win another immunity. So, any thoughts here?
Yeah, Miles sells to Zara that, him and her are, two of the less jury threats. And Zara seems to be on board and says, "I don't mind sitting with Miles to at the end." But I don't know. Can she not see the game that he has played? The idea that Miles is one of the lesser jury threats is wild. The guy has had 1 million votes cast against him. He's still there. He's had 4 idols.
Yeah, it's insane.
In a season. I just do not understand how you can look at Miles and say, this is someone else sitting next to at the end.
Right. I don't get it either. Austin?
Yeah, I mean, I just don't understand it either, I guess. Maybe she just thinks he's, not well-liked on the jury. I don't really know. I mean, I could assume that just from the start of his game, but, I mean, I'm assuming after merge he kind of built connections and wasn't a total outlier anymore. I don't know, but maybe that's what Zara's thinking. I think she might just think he's a little guy compared to her or something.
Yeah. I mean, you never want to underestimate people in this game because that's when they're going to take advantage of that. So,
unfortunately, my AJ prediction didn't come true.
No.
He didn't come from at all. I was so convinced. I was like, I'm going to look like a genius when we record this podcast. But no, I just look like an idiot as always.
Well, I mean, I didn't know how attached AJ was until that episode also, because he said a few times oh, Miles is in my end game plan. I was like, oh wow, interesting.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I mean, we'll get to the next episode in a little bit as well, where Miles does actually try, but it fails. But we'll get there when we get there. All right, we do get to the immunity challenge, and it's swimming to get 3 balls. Use throw one of the balls up to knock the third one off the beam up above them, and then use poles to push all 3 up an obstacle ramp and into a net. And Kaylin is basically, he either is going to break the Australian Survivor record, or Survivor record in general in global Survivor history, or Miles is going to break that record, because it's pretty much him or Miles that's going to win this. And Kalen does it. He has officially broken the Survivor record with 6 immunity wins. Kalen Lockhart, congratulations for being the biggest challenge beast in Survivor history.
It's incredible. Like the physical game isn't like my favorite part of the show, but this is a record that hasn't been broken in 20, 25, 20 years of Survivor, however long it's been going.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Like, however many seasons globally, nobody's got more than 5. So many people have tied that record, but for someone to break it, it is a real historic thing. And whatever happens with Kaylin going into this finale week, like, that is something you can proudly say that, hey, I am the greatest challenge performer in the history of Survivor. Move aside, Aussie. You ain't got nothing on me. And I don't see it ever being beat. Like, it's took this long to get someone to get 6. Like, no one's getting 7. Kalen still has a chance to get 7.
Yeah.
6 might not even be the record that he ends with.
Yeah. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if he continues to advance the record either. Austin, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, to caveat, I guess, he did have some luck that a lot of the more brawny physical threats kind of left before this part of the game. But if you don't like watch Survivor, I'll say it like this: these guys are like all drained at this point in the game at merge. Like, everyone's dying, they're hungry, they're emotionally struck, they're like mentally struck. So like, winning challenges like this is really hard. Like, it's very impressive that this dude like had 6 in a row here. Like, some people are like shaking and like, I can't even do this crap. Like, AJ is kind of a good example. I think he's maybe thrown a few, but like, he's definitely dying out there. I can tell in the challenges he's not keeping up at all. So like, it's pretty fat. Like, I'm impressed. Like, it's awesome to see that someone's got 6.
Yeah.
I want to see an all-star season with Kaylin and Brooke.
Oh yeah.
Give me that challenge beast alliance. Can you imagine the two of them together? They'd be unstoppable.
Right. Yeah. I actually want that now.
You'd actually would have to do an alliance like that at that point if you have all these challenge beasts, because people are gonna be like, let's just get rid of all of them so we don't have to worry about them.
Yeah.
Challenge enthusiast. He doesn't like the term beast, which I found so funny.
It was funny for sure. Like, do Australia versus the World season 2 and put Brooke, Kaylin, Chappies, like put all the challenge beasts that we haven't seen play together.
I just had a genius idea that's never been done. Do an all-star Brains versus Brawn.
Ooh.
Like, the best returning Brawn players of all time, the best returning strategists of all time. That'd be amazing. Why has that not been done?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd like that. I feel like fans have like theorized on that, wanting to have that happen before, but yeah, it's never happened.
That would be fun to watch.
I got myself so excited.
Great idea.
Looks like I'm making this happen now.
All right, so we get back to camp after Kaylin breaks the record. AJ wants Morgan gone, but Zara and Kaylin are both saying no, they prefer Kate to go. Obviously, AJ has been talked about that him and Kate are close. So from his perspective, absolutely get it. Taking out Morgan makes sense for him. Zara and Kaylin, I think, disagreeing with AJ makes more sense for them. So it's good to kind of see them thinking for themselves there. Morgan and Kate have the conversation where Morgan knows she's going home basically and wants Kate to vote her out, but she refuses. And I did have the iconic line where Morgan's saying how hard this is, and Kate's like, "You've been to the Olympics, bitch."
That was very nice. Like, she didn't give a damn. Kate's like good TV. That's why I'm surprised by the edit Morgan got. But like, yeah, I almost felt like this was a little predictable. Like, they were definitely just gonna go Kate Morgan here. I'm not surprised either that Zara just wanted Kate gone. I mean, she's wanted her gone for a minute now. So, yeah, it was a little lackluster, I guess, in my POV, but it was cool to see like AJ's like he just keeps being AJ. No, I don't want Kate. We need Morgan, and this is why to Kaylin. And Kaylin's like, well, okay. And then Zara's like, no, 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 no. We got to keep this plan going. So, yeah, I mean, it was a fun little run around, I guess. And then I thought I had another point, but no, I mean, yeah, I guess it just was more AJ feud, I guess. And then Zara's more like, oh my God, I hate when he does this.
Yeah, Michael, your thoughts on on this?
Yeah, I did love that moment where Kaylin goes to Zara, is like, AJ thinks we should change the vote to Morgan, and she just goes, no. I'm sick of AJ constantly changing the vote. I do think it was the right read on AJ's part, AJ and Kaylin, where they're talking about how Morgan going is more beneficial to them at 5, and I mean we saw that like going forward that it worked out well for them. I just over the course of this season I've really grown to love Kate, and she's been in a really bad spot for a while, and she really does just keep trying. She never really gets herself down about it. We see her get emotional about potentially Morgan going home, but within the game she's always trying. Right to the end when Morgan leaves, she's still pushing plans and trying things. And you know, she tries to get a vote together for Miles. She's the one that's actively going out and having chats with these people to see if there's any wiggle room that they can do something. There was an interesting conversation on the beach here where Kate says to Miles says to Kate that there was an option, but that option's no longer on the table. And the only thing that would be is obviously Kaylin won immunity. So I wonder if maybe she could have blown that up with AJ, went to Kaylin, being like, hey, like Miles is coming for you. He's just had this conversation with me that if you didn't have the necklace, you would have been gone. So I'll make a deal with you. Give Kaylin the security he wants. Kaylin just wants security at this point. He's terrified of what's going to happen when he doesn't have that necklace. Say to Kaylin, look, if you vote with me tonight, we take out Miles when he's not expecting this. You have my word. I will not write your name down for the rest of this game. If you don't have the immunity necklace, I promise you, me and Morgan, we will not write your name down. If you can tell me that Miles is going to make you that promise, vote me out. I think that was maybe her play, and maybe that would have got some traction with Kaylin, because she has a good relationship with AJ. AJ and Kaylin are tight. Like AJ, Kaylin, Morgan, Kate, that could have been like a fun four to break up the graduates with.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point of like what they could have tried, because they really, again, another missed opportunity to get Miles out. I don't think he would have expected this at all.
No.
So, any other thoughts on this before we get to the tribal council?
No, I mean, I guess just my opinion on that. I didn't expect Kate or Morgan to ever pull something like that off, but it would have been a really good plan. I almost feel like they're here not because they're not because they're strategic game, but more of their social game of just being the numbers, basically. So if Kate would have done that, that would have been a very good resume move, obviously. But I think she was more in like self-reserve type mode where I'm either going home or Morgan's going home, and didn't really think to do something shaky like that with Miles. So that's a really good thought, and I didn't think about that actually when I was watching. So,
and I think it needs. It's difficult because all we get is the edit, obviously. But from what we saw on the beach, it seemed like Morgan was kind of checked out at that point. Like Kate was running around, Morgan was kind of just in the hammock, and she says that at tribal council, she didn't really have conversations with them. She was in the hammock. I think to do that, you need the two of them. Going out there and getting that together and trying to get that across the line. But I really do feel for Morgan. It was, she did seem very checked out in the emotional moment where she's chatting to Kate on the beach, where it's like she's legitimately willing to sacrifice her game so that Kate can stay. Because Kate's like, are you going to vote for me? And she was like, no, that defeats the point. Like, she's trying to keep Kate in the game here. So to be this far into the game, this close to the end, to be able to say, I'm willing to leave so that maybe you can stay. Like that's friendship. That goes beyond the game. So that was a really sweet moment. And both these episodes, we have some really sweet friendship moments that are very emotional towards the end. So yeah, I like that moment between Kate and Morgan.
Yeah, it really shows like this game is all about relationships and you're actually becoming friends with most of these people. And like anybody that doesn't get that, I feel like doesn't really understand Survivor. So,
Russell.
Yeah.
I actually like Russell. I know it's an unpopular opinion, but yeah, I don't think he gets the relationship side.
No, he doesn't get the social aspect as much. I will agree, like Russell does know the game strategically. But anyway, let's get to the tribal council and we'll talk about our thoughts on Morgan leaving and what is strange about that, obviously. So we do have the extra immunity challenge. We have the Simon Me and the Ferris/Eileen challenge that we've seen in the past 2 seasons. And this is the House of Cards. Kate does win the immunity to protect herself, which guarantees that Morgan is going to be going home here. So, and Morgan is voted out 4-2 over Moyles. So, and then just before we, let's just bring it up now. Morgan does leave the jury. We find that out next episode. So let's talk about this situation because it is very, very strange. Clearly, something has gone on behind the scenes. We don't know what. And it's just a very strange situation, and it rubs me the wrong way that the production has decided to like basically edit this out and edit out Morgan and like not tell us the truth. And I feel like for me personally, like I've enjoyed this season enough, but it kind of makes the season go down a little bit for me personally.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going based off what I see from the players' perspectives. I mean, I've seen a story that Morgan's posted where she doesn't relatively accept this season of Survivor. So I'm definitely assuming something happened on her side.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, when I seen that jury's reaction, at least from the edit, or not jury, the players.
Yes.
Like POVs when she didn't come out, I was like, okay, they totally expected this, or at least they were probably somewhat shocked at some level, and then they didn't edit it. So, yeah, I mean, I was a big Morgan fan from the start, so I was really disappointed in how the hell they basically purpled the absolute shit out of her.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's kind of how the edit went for a few people as well this season. I think that's why it's kind of become mid. Of a season, like the whole entire Brawn tribe kind of just kind of got pushed out, and then you kind of just got these favored people that you've seen the entire season. So
right,
yeah, I mean, you didn't really have the dynamics of both really spread out very well here, which also triggered Morgan to be even more purpled because her tribe was purpled in general, I would say. So yeah, I mean, it sucks. I would love to know what the reason is for her majorly, but yeah.
That sucks. Michael?
Yeah, I'm sure, right now we don't know the whole situation. We're not going to discuss, rumors or whatever's being said until I'm sure Morgan is going to come out after the season and have her side of the story. But until then, we're just kind of, it's odd, like, because you're right that several players have been under-edited, but the majority of them at least came into, the focus at certain points. Like someone like Kate was very under-edited, and then she became a much more visible player. Like Kristen was someone else that was quite under the radar and then became a big part of the season. And then, yeah, with Morgan, it's just been like a complete flat line. We get an odd confessional, but nothing. But not only, obviously she's going to leave the jury, and that's a whole separate thing. But just the decision she doesn't even get a leave-in confessional. Like the episode ends without the final thoughts of the person voted out, which I can't remember that happening before.
I don't think so.
Maybe it has at some point, but and obviously no jury villa stuff obviously went down, I guess, and there was no jury villa to be put out. But
Yeah.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
You know
So
what I
bizarre.
think? I think she didn't even go to the villa. I think she just straight from being eliminated left. Like no more. Can't she declined probably everything and
Yeah.
just left? That's what I'm kind of thinking.
I think
But
so.
then there's also, it's really, I watched Kate's jury villa, and I obviously the reaction, like you said, when Morgan doesn't come out at the jury for the next tribal council, like there was no mention. Even Kate, who is Morgan's closest ally friend out there, when
Yeah.
she gets to the jury villa, there's no where's Morgan. There's no mention of Morgan. So these players, for whatever reason, have obviously been told
Yeah.
not to talk about the situation, which again is bizarre. The whole thing is bizarre.
Yeah, I agree. Like the fact of the matter too, like you look back at the premiere, Morgan got like an intro package in like the
Oh
very
yeah.
of the season showing like her Olympic performances. And so they literally put her in the start of the season as if she was going to be somewhat important or she's going to be a big part of like Survivor history in some way or Australian Survivor history. And then she gets nothing and that isn't the case. It's just very, very odd because I knew going into the premiere what had happened and they still chose her to give her that moment and then not do
And
anything.
she made final 6.
Exactly.
Like, I don't know. So strange.
That's probably the only reason they gave her a promo package because, I mean, the first 2 episodes, I was all in almost. I was like, damn, she's rowdy. She's going to be like feisty. She's going to be fun to watch. And then they completely didn't show anything from her.
She was a lot of people's winner picks on other podcasts. Obviously, Austin, you picked her first round, I think, of the Brawn tribe. And yeah, I mean, it's just shocking. She even called out like they had promo footage preseason of her like calling out Nash at tribal council like when that happened, like, and that's really the only like major moment I think they gave her.
Yeah. Just also on this tribal council outside of the Morgan situation, I really don't like a random twist of final 6 that someone else is going to get immunity. Like, I understand they did a similar thing in All Stars, and it tends to be when there's a dominant alliance that is controlling things this late in the game and they want to spice things up and make it a bit interesting. I get that from a production point of view, but this is the players' game, and the people in the majority, whether you find it boring or not, whether you like it or not, they earn the majority and they earn the position that they're in. So, like, something like this where the game could have been negatively affected so say Kate and Morgan had an idol, or one of them had an idol. Kate wins immunity, Morgan plays an idol. One of these players that was in complete control goes home because of a production twist that doesn't need to be there, and they've had their game shafted at final 6.
Yes.
Like, that to me is just dumb. And it kind of worked out in that their plan went off the way it would have anyway. The exception, obviously, it ended up being Morgan instead of Kate. But I don't agree with shafting people who are doing well just for the sake of, an interesting tribal.
And I think it actually did blockade actual like possible tension because if Kate wasn't open, I think someone might have tossed votes on Kate, and then like an AJ would have been like, "What?" And then I think 5 would have been different, honestly. So
agreed, absolutely. Like AJ is going to be confused, and maybe there is even fighting before they even revote. Like JLP would have let them like fight it out, just like Heroes versus Villains, like where they let an entire tribal go on according to the players. Like, as much as we can say, like, to me, that's the best time they've done these challenges. Like, Michael, you said it did happen in All Stars. Was AK had the option to make fire? Felt like out of nowhere just because him and Brooke were on the bottom. And
it's like, AK, here are your options. I can read the votes that are in the air and that are 100% you going home.
Yes.
Or you can make fire and maybe stay.
Right.
Which one do you want to pick, AK?
Yeah. Yeah, and then Heroes versus Villains, like, I feel like the Simon challenge, at least because it led to what happened, like, I'm grateful for that, for giving one of the greatest tribal councils of all time. And then Ferris and Eileen, I think, because they saw how good Heroes versus Villains worked out, they did it there, but it absolutely saved Ferris or Eileen from going home, and it led to Charles going home.
Do you guys actually think they plug that though, or do you think this has all been planned and then it just ironically happens to be crazy?
I'm gonna hope that it just happened that way and it was put in beforehand, but it's just very interesting how when it comes into play and how it does save certain people.
Yeah, I don't mind so much if, to me, the season should be absolutely blocked out before a single person steps foot on the beach. This is when we do this. These are the twists that we're doing, and this is the episode we're doing it in. Because then it is random and it is fair. But it does often feel, the time and wise of it, that it just feels very forced. But, it is what it is.
Yeah, I think there could be a little bit of, okay, we're having this challenge, but we don't know when yet during merge. You know what I mean? Like, I think they could do that a little bit, but I would hope it's scheduled out, like you said.
Yeah, I would hope so. But, well, that's the end of episode 21. So we go to 22. So basically everybody wants to start turning on each other. Basically, AJ had told Kaylin Miles was after him, so Kaylin wants Miles gone. Miles wants to turn on AJ, like, to give himself the best resume possible. So what do you guys think of all the chaos that's about to ensue with the postgraduates wanting to get each other out?
Fair play to Miles. Like,
yeah.
I appreciate the, going out there and saying, no, there's still a move to be made here and AJ needs to go. He says, can you imagine the look on the jury's face when I take out AJ to Zara? When I take out AJ.
Yeah.
Again, does Zara not hear that is a big red flag in terms of his resume is building. No one is going to look at this move and say it was Zara's move. They're going to look at that move and say it was Miles' move. And so I kind of get a decision in the end, really. It's not the most exciting one, but I just... It's just a bizarre final five where people don't seem to be seeing Miles as this big threat. And is it only AJ that knows about the idol?
Yes, I believe that was correct.
I think so, yeah.
See, I do think they missed a trick. I think AJ should have brought that out long before and tried to get rid, because now Miles is in the pole position and he really can't be touched.
Yeah, I think AJ must have just been like, I trust Miles so much that we're going to go to the end together, and so I'm not going to blow my buddy's spot up, and not realizing that Miles is going to do the opposite and try to take him out. So, Austin, your thoughts?
I mean, I guess on that topic, I think AJ's wanting to take out Miles, but I don't think he wants to yet. I think that's why he's keeping the idol around. I think he definitely misjudged, though, that he might turn on AJ or him at like 5. So it is interesting, like, Zara's dynamic at this point, because she's kind of like fiddling with the 3 guys at this point, right? Like, she's fine with Kaylin, whatever, but then I'm still struggling to figure out who is she aligned with more at this point. Miles, who basically saved her from the bottom and kind of helped her get her shit together, or AJ, who she's kind of been with the entire season, kind of mentally. Like, AJ's kind of my guy, right? So I'm sitting here like, what's gonna happen, right? Like, is she actually gonna think about like this turning on AJ here? Because in my head, I'm like, I think she might stick with AJ until the end, and Miles might have been talking a little too much again. You know what I mean? So it was an interesting start of all these combos. I was kind of engaged for sure.
I think it's important. It's a real important example of why in Survivor, especially in the end game, you need to have good relationships with every single player, regardless of whether or not you're working with them. And that's why AJ's relationship with Kate has been such an important one for him, where even now that they're not really on the same side, he has a line of communication with Kate. Whereas Kate is someone Zara could have really used, especially after Morgan goes home. But she's so tunnel vision on Kate's my direct adversary, so Kate needs to go. Whereas if she had more of a relationship with Kate, maybe she could make something work with her. And ultimately, like, at that point, she can choose which of the guys goes. If she could line with Kate and one of the other guys to take out any of the other combination, but it just there never seems to be that kind of working relationship between them there. And then one last thing on this, we have AJ completely misreading the situation. He does see through Miles's lies. He does see that Miles is lying about voting for Kate, but he misreads and sees that he's coming for Kaylin. And we get cut to Zara just calling him a knucklehead.
I feel like Zara has called all the guys knuckleheads this entire season.
I mean, it's fair. I think they're all very tunnel visioned at this point also. And I think that's why that's why I thought Zara would be in a good position as she is now, because they're all kind of just coming to her now to be like, hey, like, this is what I'm seeing. And then she's like half like telling them the truth and half being like, I can't believe you don't see this.
Right. Agreed. Well, let's get to the immunity challenge. And this is a gripe I have. I feel like this is the third challenge in like 3 episodes where it's following a rope and stacking things. It's like dominoes, and then we had obviously like this, and we had the House of Cards last episode, and it's like, why are we doing this challenge just with like different variations of it?
They're very physically drawn at this merge. I swear to God, like, you look at US Survivor and they're doing freaking puzzles, like hanging bat puzzles.
Right.
And they're trying to figure out, like, I don't even know if we've seen something like that.
No.
It's
the
all
only puzzle I remember
stuff.
seeing is the one that Kaylin said, like, I don't want people to know I'm good at puzzles.
Yes.
You're right. Like, the rest, it's all been some kind of physical challenge.
Yeah.
And then, if I'm just being honest, you'd think there's a mix of it at the merge because of the theme of this season, which didn't really ironically matter anyway, because all the Brawns have died out and it's the brains kind of doing it anyway. So
exactly. Yeah. I mean, I definitely feel like it's just been the brains like game all along this season, and like the Brawn hasn't really had a chance to oppose them as much. But yeah, so Zara wins following the rope and stacking the 12 blocks. So that's her first immunity challenge win, at least. So then we get to more chaos. So Kaylin is voting Miles. Miles is voting AJ. AJ is voting Kate. Kate is voting Kaylin. And Zara is the swing vote. So in this position, what do you guys do? Are you like, who are you swinging to take out?
I would have done exactly what she did if I was Zara.
Michael?
It's just, AJ is in a tricky position because he knows Miles has the idol. So it's kind of like, what can you do? It's either he doesn't want to go against Kaylin. He has no real choice but to go for Kate. I think I had a vague idea where could you try and put a plan in place that tricks Miles into playing his idol for someone else? Is there someone that Miles would, if all the votes are piling on Kate, kind of give Miles the idea that you've got a chance to make a big move here. Everyone's voting for Kate, play the idol for her. But the problem with that is the only name that AJ could throw out is Kaylin, which isn't going to be a believable option. You know, the only name that Kaylin can throw out is AJ, which isn't going to be believable. So it was one of these situations where they've missed the boat on a big move, and Miles' move on AJ is the only big move to be made, really, because AJ can't retaliate. Yeah. So it's just, I do love a good plurality vote, and I love that moment where Zara realizes that, hey, like, everyone's voting someone different. I can decide who goes here.
Right. I said in my reaction to this episode, I do think Zara actually does make the right decision. Like, I can see why she made the decision she did. And as you brought up earlier, Michael, like, red flags when Miles is telling her, this is the move I want to make, or this is my move. Like, you have to phrase stuff like that way better and make it seem like it's good for both of you and not just for you. Otherwise, like, that, you know, that person has every incentive to not just go with something that's going to benefit only you. So
we're jumping back a little bit, but it just reminded me of a funny moment with AJ as well, when he was trying to comfort Kate and say, like, if you vote Morgan, you'll be okay. And Kate's just crying in front of AJ, who stood there like a robot, and it just cuts to a confessional of AJ saying, I don't think I said that very well.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, I mean, I think where I'm at with all this is I think AJ at that point, I think he did a lot of his dirty work already to the point where he's kind of just trying to get to the end at this point, which I'm kind of cool with. It was almost like this was the point where Miles actually did need to do that, in my opinion, where that's where he kind of lost Zara there because Zara obviously got the point and she obviously picks her side there. Like she wants AJ. Maybe she thinks she gets to the end with AJ over Miles. I don't know, but I do think Zara definitely picked the right option there. I mean, you're thinking of it at this point like I don't trust Kate at all, and if I keep Kate here, like she could absolutely screw me over at 4. Or do I just keep AJ? And I mean, nobody wants AJ. I think in her head, she doesn't think AJ's going to go at 4. So she's almost thinking like, I'm getting to 3 no matter what at this point. And then this point, do I just duke it out with Kaylin or do I, duke it out with AJ, which let's be honest. I don't think she beats either of them at this point, but she's kind of got her cards that she has to just kind of play. I mean, Miles is the bigger threat than those two probably in her eyes. So she probably just wants to get rid of Miles at 4 and then take what she can get.
Right.
This is where the end game gets really tricky, where there's two possible end games that you have. There's players like Miles and AJ who their resume is already finished. It doesn't matter what they do now. Who knows which one of them beats, if they were sat next to each other at the end, I think it'd be close. But I feel like Miles and AJ both would feel confident at the end sat next to anyone. And they can back their game and say, I deserve to win. Maybe Miles versus AJ would be the trickiest, but I think they back themselves in that situation. So for Miles and AJ, I don't think who I'm sat next to is the key factor. It's how do I get there? Whereas when you've got players like Zara, Kate, and even Kaylin to an extent, where they're not just looking at how do I get there, they're looking at who can I beat, and there's only so many moves left in the game, you're really kind of screwed. So, to be honest, I don't think it really matters what Zara did, because I don't think there's any path for her. She might get there, but I think she's ran out of time to build a resume that is going to be worth something at the end. And that time passed a few tribal councils ago.
And I also think she might be dislikable to the jury already to an extent. I mean, she kind of screwed over her entire Brain girls at points in the game. And I mean, do they respect the move she made at this point to work with people like AJ, who they also weren't too fond of, or Miles, who they didn't want to make it this far anyway? I mean, it does come down to a lot of like these connections and like gameplays, because like you're gonna also take like Kalen's a really good example of a jury, you know what I mean? Like just looking at him and going, do we like that he played this very simple strategic game in a massive physical game, or do we rather enjoy the Miles and AJ route where they just scrapped basically the entire game and just never did shit like in the physical game, you know what I mean? So like it comes down to how did you build that jury and how did you like connect with this jury? Because I mean, maybe some of the players you got rid of earlier would have really liked how Kaylin played, like a Jesse or a Ben or a Kent to an extent. Like these type of bigger guys like could have been more in Kaylin's alley, whereas like a Corinne or I'm trying to think of Lauren might be like, I don't really give a shit maybe about that aspect that Kaylin did. Right. I cared more that he fucked me over. So like, you know what I mean? It's going to come down to that.
I agree.
That's where it's interesting to look at the jury, and every jury is different. And is this going to be a jury that focuses on gameplay, or is it going to be a jury that focuses on, I feel good about voting for this person? Because Kaylin hasn't played the strongest game, but I'd say he's definitely the most well-liked player still in the game. I don't think there's anyone that dislikes Kaylin. So if it comes down to it and he's at the end, I could see them saying, you know, he's played a great physical game. He's been across the game strategically. He's not been in charge, but he has had a good read on things, and he's been great socially. Like, sometimes the best game in terms of pure gameplay doesn't get it done at the end. So I do think Kalen has a good shot if he can get there.
I tell you this, I see Kalen winning if they do get rid of Miles at 4, which that's kind of my prediction, and he wins the final 3. I think he wins 100%. I think he takes Zara and then he wins, in my opinion, at that point.
That's his path, yeah.
You just got rid of Miles, and you just got rid of AJ basically all yourself. Zara's kind of screwed now, and Kalen wins, which I 100% would applaud. And great game. I mean, in Australian Survivor, you kind of almost got to play a middle ground for a while, and he kind of played it perfectly to the point where he got to merge and again centered himself, and that's hard to do at a merge. So like, he didn't have to be scrappy. That's his pitch. He didn't have to do this. He literally also didn't win immunities at certain points and then still didn't get votes or wasn't even worried. I mean, that's tough as hell. That's a very good social game that he's playing.
Agreed. Yeah, it's so tough. Like, for me, like, the game that Kalen's playing is probably the ideal way to play Australian Survivor because it's such a long game. And, you know, a lot of these physical players, we see that they do go out earlier because it is such a long game and you can't play in front for that long unless you're like David or Ferris or Mark, where they did play out in front and they still were able to get it done.
Well, that's why I personally like this season. There's like the people who played this game really good to their strengths are almost all at the end. Like Kalen, Miles, and AJ have been very either strategic or very physically, socially like motivated, you know what I mean? And then Zara, I mean, I also kind of give her the props that she knew she was always kind of being tossed around by certain people. I mean, very early on, wasn't she the one who kind of seen it immediately and was like, these 4 girls are, you know, tight, and I don't think I get my opinion across very often. Like, you know, she's extremely aware, probably because of her position with her job. I mean, she's oversees a shit ton of things. So, I mean, that played her game pretty well. She's seen that, oh, the boys are going to want me way more than these people. So she took that and ran with it, you know what I mean? So that's why I kind of like this Final Four. I mean, some people don't, which I kind of get. A lot of people's favorites kind of went home right around, you know, jury and then down the line, sure, whatever. But I mean, I think we got to see a pretty good Final Four here, personally.
Yeah, I do think Zara's underappreciated. Like, I think she's played a really good game. I think she's just, like I said, there with the wrong people. I do think her game deserves more credit than it's getting online for sure.
Yeah,
I wish that PD and Jesse flipped in the jury with certain people, because I think this whole entire game could have been different if those two were sitting in a jury.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I firmly will still believe that everybody who makes merge should be on jury, but that's a different discussion. But no, I think just based on the edit, I mean, Zara's not going to win based on that. But
I kind of agree.
I do agree that like she has played like a good enough game to get to this point. Like I agree with that. Well, Kate goes home, obviously, does a little drop down. Yeah, so good on Kate. And yeah, so that is the end of week 8. And going into finale week, all of us have at least a player left. Austin is left with 2 with Zara and AJ. I have Miles the Jungle Rat, and Kaylin is left for Michael after all this time. So
doing it.
Yeah, I mean, this is good that all of us have someone at least going into finale week.
Can we throw out there that Mike and I picked 2 of our players last on our tribes, and they're here? Like, yeah. Isn't that kind of like ironic? You look at a group of people and you identify them like this person is gonna go far and this person's not, and then bam, like Zara's here and Kaylin's here. It's kind of funny.
It is funny. and Miles was the first pick of the draft. So I honestly wasn't sure initially if that was going to be the case because Miles wouldn't shut up early on.
Yeah, he's grown a lot. I think Miles has really learned on the job throughout the season. He's really grown into a great player. Like early Miles, I was like, yeah, Jake's screwed. This guy ain't going far.
Yeah, I thought I was definitely screwed. So.
I almost think the Kent controversy with him boosted his like social awareness because Miles started off very like rubbing people off on the wrong way immediately. You know what I mean? So like it's very interesting that he was graced so much because he could have went home in multiples of times, but he was just good enough in the certain situations that he got himself to the merge, and then he finally got to the point where like, oh my god, I can work with this AJ guy, and maybe I can get the hell through this.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I think so. Miles is either going to win or lose immunity, and that's going to determine if he's fourth place or if he makes it to final three. If he does win, I am curious what will happen then. Like, will Zara all of a sudden get taken out, or will AJ be the boot, or will they gun for Kaylin? I don't know. I'm not really sure how that's going to go. But any other predictions from you guys?
I think I've never been more confident that Miles is winning this season. I don't think Miles is going anywhere next episode. I think based on the edit that we've seen, this is Miles's game, and especially the scene in this episode, this last episode, where he's crying on the rocks, talking about the potential of voting for his friend, and how much of the relationships mean to him. I was like, Miles is winning. There we go. So they're really framing this penultimate episode as it's Miles's do or die, and I'm pretty confident he's gonna either win immunity or somehow manage to jungle rat his way out of it, even if he doesn't. I'm confident Miles is winning.
Yeah.
That's really fair. I don't really want that to happen, kind of. But I agree that if I was to give percentages to everybody, like tier them, I'm probably putting Miles at the top. I still really think that he's my like prediction to go home at 4, just because I think like a Kaylin or Zara's gonna win this. If Miles wins it, I definitely see him just make like the immunity. I mean, I definitely see him winning at that point. Like he really does need, like if he wins this immunity at 4, I think he's shot into the finale, because at this point you're gonna fuck up the other 3 so much. I think Miles almost gets taken in a way at that point. At final 3. So, I mean, I'm really excited with Miles just because of the progression he's made. Just like Michael basically said, I won't repeat it all. Right. But I have absolutely grown on Miles as a player. I still think there's a weird way AJ gets to the finale. They might be the 2 that just duke it out. I don't even know, but I think Final 4 could either be just a cakewalk Miles vote out, or we could probably see like a fire almost. It could be an explosive Final 4 just because if Miles wins immunity, I mean, AJ has 2 paths he doesn't know what the hell to do with. Kaylin's not going to vote AJ, and Zara might vote Kaylin or AJ. You know what I mean? So it could be really, really spicy. So, yeah, this is going to be a very interesting Final 4. And then Final 3, I mean, again, if Kaylin somehow gets rid of Miles there, like at 4, I think Kaylin will win that immunity against those 2. And then I think he skirts off to the end. I don't know. I think I'm starting to not have faith in AJ, which I'm really disappointed about, but I'm still absolutely going to root for him at this point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Last episode, I put my wild theory out there that didn't play off. I've got another theory about this final week. Morgan leaves the jury. Morgan was initially the 6th member of the jury. Yes. Kate is now the 6th member of the jury. The next person is going to be the 7th. If we're doing final 2, that means there's going to be 8 members of the jury. I actually think this is all a big misdirect, and I think there isn't going to be an elimination at final 4. I think it's going to be some kind of like they did with the jury removal, but not jury removal, obviously.
Yeah.
I think it's something where no one's going to go, and then the finale will be, and it's going to be a final three. So I think Miles gets his way there in a final three with like a Kaylin and a Zara, and maybe AJ goes at 4.
Yeah, I can definitely see that happening on Sunday's episode as well. Like, it's because like that would make sense if they pulled that. They did it in Heroes versus Villains, where it seemed it could be a final 2 there, and so I can definitely see that happening. Because yeah, we don't want another situation like the closest we ever got to that was Micronesia with Amanda and Parvati, with like it almost was a tie with an 8-person jury in a final 2 because of all the evacuations, and I'm pretty sure no version of Survivor wants that to potentially happen again.
Oh no, because at that point they would just probably go to fire. I don't know. I don't know if we want to see a fire to determine a winner. I don't know. Some people might love that shit, but I'd rather just see the jury pick who wins personally. So
draw rocks to see who wins the game.
Oh, God, that'd be the worst.
Oh, that'd be insane.
I think there would be a huge uproar. Oh dear. Well, all right. That is the end of our penultimate week of Australian Survivor Brains versus Brawn 2. If you haven't already, please subscribe, like, comment, share all of our episodes, and you can binge the whole season with us on the channel in the playlist. And we'll be back for finale week of Australian Survivor, along with all our other Survivor stuff going on. So with that, we will see you all next time on the Tribe of Nerds.